this holiday season and the kind of culmination of the past 3 years, basically, and as we're leaning into the end of this year, 2022, I think that there is an opportunity to really pause and reflect. And I know for myself, what I have been pausing and reflecting on has really been around loss, and has really been around grief and sadness. I think that over the past 3 years, one thing that I was able to do very, very well was to keep moving, to continue to accelerate. Every time that something happened, every time that there was a obstacle or a roadblock, I got so vigilant and so persistent to push through that I built this kind of like a trauma response. That every time that something happened that really rocked my world, rocked my nervous system, rocked my relationship with others, rocked my relationship with self, instead of actually pausing and like dealing with it, I actually saw myself just moving through it with more velocity, with more force, with more power, with more just intensity. Partially because I wanted to just get through it. I wanted to get to the other side. I wanted to make sure that I didn't get stuck in the dark parts. I didn't want to get stuck in the sadness. And I think it was because, for me personally, I have struggled with anxiety and depression and so many other things that I didn't trust in my own mental fortitude to be able to handle and deal with what was really happening. So I took action. I didn't rest. I didn't pause. I didn't stop. I just kept going. And I'm so grateful that in the midst of my movement and forward progression, that I had the tools over the past 3 years that I could lean on, from therapy to journaling to prayer to supportive friends, a supportive partner, supportive family members, to even having a platform like social media where I could connect with other people, from teaching, from coaching my clients, doing all of these things that supported me. And yet, as I'm sitting here now with a few days left in this year, I realized that I didn't get a chance to really sit with all that's happened. And what I feel now is this overwhelming sense of, this overwhelming sense of just loss. And realizing that I didn't properly grieve the things that were lost over the past 3 years. And that's important. It's important to take time to reflect. And maybe because I was pushing and pushing so much, that as I sit here now to reflect, it's not impacting me in a way that will break me. I don't believe that I'm going to go into a space of deep depression or deep sadness, but what I do realize is that I still needed to make my peace with what I've lost. I have to make peace with some of the things that feel like they were taken from me. And I have to figure out what I'm choosing to reclaim and take with me into my next chapter. And that's important. And that's scary. And that requires vulnerability and courage and patience. And it has me thinking a lot about each of us over the past 3 years. If we really think about it and we really think about what we've been through and what we've gone through, is where were the moments that we just continue to push and push and push? And where were the moments that we were like, I'm going to sit with this. I'm going to journal through it. I'm going to talk it out. I'm going to figure out where I feel it in my body. I'm going to get very specific with my prayers and very specific with my thoughts and my language? And where did we just move through it and didn't want to deal with it and didn't want to sit with it and didn't want to face it? And so we push it down, 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 and we cover it up. And the thing is, when we push it deep, 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 deep down and we cover it up and we don't deal with it, it doesn't go away. It just roots. It roots into us. It roots into our being. It roots into your body. And that's where we start to feel pain in our neck and our jaws or our hips, or we start to have issues with our digestion or inflammation. Like, it's not just because we got a bad night's sleep or we ate a really greasy hamburger. Some of it is trauma. Some of it is deep emotions that we have not come to express and to connect with and understand it and acknowledge it so we can release it. And it requires work and effort. But it is work that I believe is important. And over the next few days, especially as we come into the end of this year, where, yeah, there's going to be a lot, because the end of the year also is where we have family and we have, travels and we're wrapping things up and our schedules are hectic and we're, dealing with a lot of things, right? The holidays are loaded with great moments and memories and experiences and some deep, heavy, uncomfortable moments. But I would hope that you would find time in this space for you to get quiet, to get still, to get reflective, to get connected to all of it. And if you don't feel like you have the support, then do it with a friend or a partner or a loved one or someone who can sit with you and be with you through this process as you talk it out. And if you're not yet ready to communicate it, then that's why journaling is so awesome. Because you can just write for hours of what you're feeling and what you're going through, and you can continue just to write and get that out. So this is really what it's about. It's about sitting with and getting comfortable with the uncomfortable. Getting clear on what has been pushed deep, deep down. Because when we push things deep, deep down, what happens is not only do we remove our ability to connect with those emotions and those things, but we also either overcompensate for other type of emotions or actions or behaviors so that we don't have to feel it. Or we start to push everything down that we actually can't feel anything at all. No joy, no sadness. This is the work. And you'll start to feel it. Last night I was doing some of this work. I was journaling and praying and just like really tapping in. And I could start to feel my neck and my temples and my shoulders. They were so tense and so painful. And I just kept pushing through it. I kept pushing through it. And this morning I woke up and it felt like I had a really, really good massage. Like my muscles are still a little bit tense, but I feel a bit of the release, but I still feel a little bit of the pain, the residual. And so I'm going to keep working through it and keep connecting with it. So that's my hope for you this holiday season, or whenever you're watching this or listening to this, is that you take a moment to pause and to connect and to see what you're holding on to, what you've pushed so deep down inside, and where can you start the work to release it. Take a deep breath, a big inhale in, a big exhale out, and trust and believe that doing the work to release can be the thing that sets you free.